This video will discuss optimized temperature control and hysteresis, which are two different ways of controlling the temperature in your property. You can see these options under the Settings tab, and you'll see hysteresis here and optimized temperature control here. You may or may not see these depending upon which unit you're using. Some of our older units will only have hysteresis, and some of the newer ones are now moved on to optimized temperature control only, removing hysteresis from them. So on this one, you have one or the other. So optimized temperature control disabled, you see hysteresis. With it enabled, the hysteresis disappears. So we'll turn this off for now, and we'll show you hysteresis first. So currently it is at plus or minus half a degree. So what does this actually do? Well, this determines when the boiler switches on and off when your property reaches the target temperature. So we'll just go through this quickly to show you what actually happens. So if we have a target here of 21 degrees, and then we'll add two extra lines on here for hysteresis, so one above and one below. And this is the plus or minus half a degree. So this here would be 21.5, and the one below would be 20.5. So we'll now just imagine the heating coming on. The heat boiler would start sort of obviously be a bit colder first, so the heating would come on and the temperature would start to warm up. It would go past the first line and up to 21.5. At this point, the boiler would switch off. There'd still be some warmth in the radiators and pipes and things like that, so the heating would continue to increase slightly before dropping down again, and it would drop down until it hits 20.5. This is the minus part of the hysteresis, and then the boiler would fire up again. Now again, it might take 5-10 minutes for the boiler to warm up, so the temperature will start to drop a bit before eventually start climbing again, and then again switch off at 21.5, increase a little bit above that again, before falling down again to 20.5, and then it will drop down a tiny bit more and go up, etc. And it will just carry on doing this whilst it's at your target temperature. So here you can see this will vary depending on property, but on this one, let's say that's say 21.8 degrees, and that's probably 20.2 degrees. So your temperature is varying by about 1.6 degrees based on your target of 21. This is how traditional thermostats have control for heating in the past, and how some of our older units do this. So the other option is optimized temperature control. And if we to do that, you would just switch that to enabled. Now again, some of the older units may not have this option, and some of the newer ones may have this enabled by default. So just to give you a demonstration of how optimized temperature control works, if we move back to here, what would happen is we wouldn't have those plus or minus lines, because it doesn't work like that, but we would have, let's imagine a sort of line down here. I'll put it in blue. And then we have the heating switches on. So again, it warms up in a similar way, but this time when it hits that line, which is, this line will be calculated based on the temperature, how quick the property warms up, the current temperature in the property, various other factors. And it will switch the heating off at this line. So let's imagine that is 20.8. So it would turn the heating off at this point, and the residual heat in the radiators would carry on warming up your property, and it would probably hit about 21. And then it would sort of temperature increase, and then it would begin to come down probably after about half an hour or so. And at that point, the system would work out that it's dropping slightly, and it would know that it takes 10 minutes for the radiators to warm up again. So it will know when it's sort of getting into that falling point, and it will go, I need to add some more heat. So it would then fire the boiler at various times. So for example, it might fire the boiler here just for a short period of time, and then possibly here for a short period of time, possibly here. Again, this is all calculated, this is all done automatically. The system works out when it needs to do this. So therefore your line, your temperature would very much more follow this line, and it may vary by a small amount, small fraction, but generally speaking, it will keep the temperature much more consistent and much more at the 21 degrees, which we're targeting.